Content warning bot here. Content warnings for this episode include dismissal of romanticism, disappearance of individuals, and possible audio disturbance. Welcome back, listeners, to our sporadic but consistent broadcast of your stories. Hello. Apologies for our last broadcast. That was unprofessional of me. Well, let's start off like you start any good story. From the beginning. Birth. It's one of the collective human experiences. It's how we came into the world. Although some were removed. I guess this story would be from Benjamin.
Listen, why won't you come away from your machine? Why won't you stop them? I want to help you. Listen to me, please. Just listen to me. Listen to me. All right, then. You'll listen to this. I'm going to burn the factory down. You hear me? If that's the only way to stop you, I'm going to burn it down. Burn it! Burn it! Burn it! Burn it! Burn it! Burn it!
It's a good sea this morning for sailing.
Have you everything aboard?
Aye.
Is there only some way to communicate to the mainland without going there?
There's none.
What time is it?
Almost 7.
And we go when the tide changes?
Aye. Wind's freshening.
Listen on the wind. You hear it?
I hear.
What?
What do you think? It's them.
For 2 days. Never even going home.
I heard you say you'd burn it and they're afraid.
Afraid I'd burn their cage until they stay there watching. Watching. One shift works and the other watches.
That's how it is.
I don't remember my birth, but I'm sure it happened, or else I wouldn't be here to... well, I was born like any other baby. I weighed a normal weight. I could breathe. Just a normal baby. I grew up liking all the things kids like. Bad TV shows, cheap toys, and sugary cereal. I complained about homework, but besides that, I don't remember much. It was a while ago, and it isn't that important to me. I think a lot of the time the brain just lets things go. Have you ever seen Inside Out? I think some memories just have an expiration date. Makes you wonder how much history is forgotten. How much people just don't mention. I don't think I've done anything notable enough to be written about. But I guess that's the point, isn't it? Most people figure that if you're forgotten, there isn't any reason to hesitate. I thought that once, when I was younger, less old. I used to be a real punk, I guess is what my parents would have said. I didn't see a problem with drifting in my friend's car or breaking into the school to change our mascot mural into something vulgar. There's an air base just right outside of town. It's a normal air base. Mostly. It's weird, you know. People live on the air base with their families. They go to school there. I've rarely ever seen the kids from the base, if there are any. One of my friends dared me to sneak in, and the fence is so old, a kid could have broken it. So it was pretty quick. But I guess they had sensors or something, because within minutes, I heard sirens. My friends ran. I tried to, but I must have been stuck. There wasn't any reason for me to stay. I was going to get questioned, probably charged over something stupid, like breaking a fence into government property. I was questioned, processed, released. I guess going a foot over the gate can be a simple mistake, or putting your foot through it. They replaced the fence after that, electrified it, and made sneaking in a bit more tempting. I was never brave enough. Getting electrified was not something I wanted to experience. I never saw on the inside. Still haven't. One of my friends enlisted, and I guess they let cadets go inside. He made up all these stories about experiments, people. None of that has any basis in reality. It's like Area 51. There isn't anything there but terrestrial aircraft. I mean, it couldn't be true. Any of it. You have to sign NDAs when you work at places like that, don't you? I'm not really familiar with the legality, so maybe it's friend-by-friend confidentiality. I don't speak to him much anymore. Not because of the stories, but because life just happens. I have 2 kids now. I'm a busy guy, and everyone in this town tells stories. I think that's just something you get when you live in a small town. People see ghosts, shadows, gnomes moving from yard to yard. People just want our town to be odd. And it's not. It's normal. A little pin on a map. The only time I'd started to believe what he told me was when our entire town lost power. You could still see the air base because the lights were all still on, unlike the rest of the town that was completely dark. That was a few months ago. We got a formal apology, but I always wondered what could pull that kind of power on accident. I asked people around town, and it was just the normal answers. Aliens, UFOs, something they couldn't contain. And that was that. It was probably a generator issue or some emergency. I mean, it's a government entity. You have to expect for your life to become a tad disadvantaged because they're there to protect or train or whatever the base is in charge of doing. It hasn't happened since, and I really don't find it something to worry about. My youngest likes to tell me he's seen them, the aliens that they keep there, but I'm sure he saw some type of suit or uniform. Kids are creative, and aliens are all the rage again nowadays with all the probability and likelihood stuff. A kid got arrested last week for hacking into the base's database. I guess you just can't keep simple secrets without it blowing out of proportion. I'm sure they didn't find anything. Some radar images, flight logs, those kinds of things.
I had to get this out there before they get me. It's important.
Their mom told me she hasn't seen them in weeks, but that they need to face consequences. I don't think she believed that. She was crying. I'm not good with that kind of thing. My kids misbehave because they're kids. It's in their nature. But I don't think an 8-year-old could hack into the government servers, much less choose to. It's been a few more months and she hasn't heard from them. She's worried, and I guess I'm a little worried. They're not old enough to legally make any decisions for themselves. She should have been there if anything had happened. But nothing. No announcement. No trial date. It's like they hadn't even existed. As terrible as it sounds, they messed with something they shouldn't have. I know it wasn't anything serious, since the airbase doesn't have anything valuable. But I guess everyone thinks in extremes. What's the weirdest thing that's happened to this town in months? I heard people talking about it everywhere I went. Talking about how the base took them, how really they just ran away and the mother was delirious, how the UFOs seen lately had abducted them. Just a bunch of locals spinning a story. I don't get the point of stringing that kind of thing. Creating a whole other reality where people are taken by aliens and rose bushes are ruined by tiny cement gnomes and not the animals native to the region. Why make something more interesting than it is? Escapism. Our town isn't a place you'd want to escape. It's pleasant, peaceful. The last thing I need is a ghost hiding in my fridge, making the cheese mold quicker. When you live in a town that is so generally normal, I guess looking for something meaning something it isn't becomes second nature. The need to lie to make your life better, because that's all it is. A lie. It's not true. Because the normality of our life, of our town, isn't something we should pretend doesn't exist. If there is anything wrong with normal, so why does everyone try so hard to make it seem like they're unique or special? No one is, and everyone is. Being unique isn't something that is inherited or given. Genetically, we're all unique. Taking and twisting, creating something that is you. But I guess that isn't the uniqueness people strive for. Because at the end of the day, we're all so normal that all the lies you tell make you less unique.
Thank you, Benjamin, for shedding a little bit of light on what happens when those lights go out. See you again soon, listeners.